Upon responding to a distress call from 32-year-old David Brown, reporting the shooting of his wife Linda, the police discovered his 14-year-old daughter, Cinnamon Brown, in the backyard of their residence. The girl, curled up, was found inside a dog kennel. Unconscious, Cinnamon had previously attempted suicide by consuming an entire package of sleeping pills a few hours before the incident. Clutched in her hand was a note confessing to the murder of her stepmother. The revelation of gunpowder residue on her clothes provided additional evidence, leaving no room for doubt regarding the teenager's culpability. However, beneath this grim surface lurked a harrowing tale of love, deceit, and betrayal, masterfully crafted and enacted by an entirely different individual. The Call. During the early morning hours of March 19, 1985, the police in the tranquil town of Garden Grove, California, contacted an agitated David Brown. He reported that upon returning from a night out, he discovered his wife lying on the bed in their bedroom, seemingly shot with visible signs of blood. Upon police arrival, David disclosed that he had embarked on a walk due to a heated dispute between his daughter and his 23-year-old stepmother. The teenager contested the authority of her stepmother and took any criticism to heart, while David's new wife possessed a strong-willed demeanor, leading to a confrontational argument. Feeling unable to endure another altercation and recognizing the futility of reconciling the two women, David emphatically closed the door and ventured out into the night. For the ensuing hours, he aimlessly wandered through the nocturnal streets of Garden Grove. A note. Linda succumbed to a gunshot wound in the abdomen shortly after being rushed to the hospital. Meanwhile, police were diligently investigating the scene and scouring the house. In the backyard, they discovered Cinnamon, who clutched a crumpled note in her right hand. "God, please forgive me. I didn't mean to hurt her." The girl, mirroring her stepmother's critical condition, hovered on the brink of survival. Medical professionals later asserted that had she been discovered a few hours later, she might not have made it. The teenager's dire state was attributed to an overdose on sleeping pills, according to the doctor's findings. Stubborn and harmful. Upon initiating interviews with David, his initial remarks about his daughter were accusatory, citing her disobedience. He characterized Cinnamon as a stubborn and harmful damsel with a rebellious spirit who defied authority. The already strained relationship between David and his stepmother had worsened in recent months, escalating to the point where Linda threatened to evict Cinnamon if she didn't show respect. Another eyewitness in the house, 17-year-old Patty, the deceased sister, recounted being abruptly awakened at around 2 a.m. by two loud pops emanating from Linda in David's bedroom. I went to investigate. Upon entering the hallway, I observed Cinnamon rushing out of the bedroom. Startled, she dropped her gun and fled. Unsure of why, I picked up the gun but hesitated to enter the room, fearing what I might find. David arrived a few minutes later, and I informed him of the incident, shared Patty Bailey. Allegations. When Cinnamon, restrained to a hospital bed, regained consciousness, her initial inquiry was, "Is my dad okay?" During the subsequent interrogation, Cinnamon displayed visible agitation and distress, acknowledging that she was the one who had pulled the trigger. However, she quickly expressed surprise at finding herself in custody. Cinnamon's biological mother and friends were taken aback by the events. They unanimously attested to the girl's polite, kind, shy, and trusting nature, vehemently asserting that she couldn't have wielded a gun. The teenager's favorable school performance, active involvement in sports, and abstention from smoking and alcohol further supported their claims. In court, these testimonials sharply contradicted David's assertions that his daughter was an unruly teenager with a troubled psyche. Additionally, he testified to noticing Cinnamant's inclination towards discussing suicide, but claimed he hadn't given it much consideration, despite having taught her how to shoot a revolver 6 months earlier. The sole gesture David extended to his daughter was hiring a skilled lawyer for her defense. However, this did not prove effective. Despite the defense having some grounds, the examination of clothing for gunpowder traces yielded ambiguous results. Not only were they present on Cinnamon's clothes, but also on Patty's attire. The verdict. Upon the unanimous declaration of Cinnamon Brown's guilt for first-degree murder by the jury, the girl was shocked and exclaimed, "I don't understand." Nevertheless, in September 1986, the 16-year-old girl received a life sentence with the possibility of seeking parole only after a lengthy 27 years. In prison, when questioned about the murder, Cinnamont consistently responded with, "I don't remember anything." Many inmates who interacted with her beyond the penitentiary walls found it hard to believe that this gentle child could have committed a crime. Detective Jay Newell, working in the district attorney's office, shared the same skepticism. Even after the case was closed, he sensed that something was amiss. Delving into the case files and the convicted girl's father's background, Newell came to the realization that the true culprit might not be Cinnamont at all, but rather David. On the big time. During Linda's trial, David received an insurance payout of $850,000 for the death of his wife. He promptly utilized the funds to acquire 2 new houses and 3 luxury cars. It's worth noting that David was already successful prior to marrying Linda, as he owned a thriving business in the computer field. His company specialized in data recovery from damaged devices, enjoying prosperity. Now he embraced a lifestyle often referred to as living to the fullest, indulging in worldwide travel, purchasing expensive attire, and dining at first-class restaurants. In essence, he conducted himself as if Linda and Cinnamont had never been a part of his life. However, the most astonishing revelation was his new life partner Patty, the sister of his deceased wife. What added to the surprise was their marriage, which took place just 5 months after the trial. Notably, Patty became David's 5th wife, further contributing to the peculiarity of his marital history. In the dark. Detective Jay Newell found himself unable to charge David Brown with any crime, given the presence of an alibi. No gunpowder residue was detected on Brown's clothes or hands, and Cinnamont persistently insisted that the blame rested solely on her. As Newell later confessed, an inner turmoil gnawed at his soul, disrupting his sleep as he grappled with the realization that David might be responsible for his wife's death. Adding to the concern, by 1988, Brown's visits to his daughter had dwindled significantly, with only 1 visit in the preceding 6 months. Consequently, at the close of 1988, the detective decided to meet with Cinnamon, now of age, without notifying David, her legal guardian, about the visit. Upon the meeting, Cinnamon, who hadn't contacted her father in months, immediately inquired about Newell's well-being. Without much hesitation, Jay chose to reveal the entire truth to the girl, detailing the houses and cars Brown acquired, his travel destinations, and most significantly, the identity of his new wife. The proverbial cherry on top was the revelation that Patty was expecting a child. Unsurprisingly, these revelations left Cinnamon stunned, plunging her into a stupor for a lengthy 10 minutes. Over the 2 years she had spent in prison, Her father had portrayed his life as humble and secluded. Now, after 3 years of silence, Cinnamont decided to break it and disclose the truth. The manipulator. 2 years prior to the murder in 1983, it was revealed that David and Patty had started planting the idea in Cinnamon's mind that Linda was bad and harbored intentions to kill Daddy to take away his company. The girl innocently suggested that her father divorce her stepmother, but David dismissed the idea, citing the complexities of the legal process and the potential for Linda to claim half of his property, which would leave them on the street. David then initiated firearms training for his daughter, weaving discussions about the desirability of someone shooting Linda into their conversations. He suggested that Cinnamont, being a minor, would face a shorter sentence in a correctional facility, emphasizing, "If you love me, help me," as he pleaded with his daughter. Cinnamont complied, but her father's manipulations didn't end there. He compelled her to write a suicide note and, in an attempt to make it more convincing, instructed her to ingest a handful of sleeping pills. It seems David may have harbored hopes that the girl would succumb to the overdose. Intentionally placing his daughter in a dog kennel further delayed her discovery by the police, allowing him more time to orchestrate the events before making the call to authorities. The trap. Cinnamon's narrative deeply unsettled Jay Newell, prompting him to seek out the police officers who had initially questioned her shortly after the incident. These officers informed him of the inconsistencies in the case that hinted at the involvement of an accomplice, even though Cinnamon had confessed to the murder, vehemently claiming sole responsibility. Newell strategized to expose David's role by recording conversations between him and his daughter using a listening device. Cinnamon willingly collaborated, having come to a stark realization about her father's true nature. In an unsuspecting moment, Brown unwittingly confirmed the details when his daughter ostensibly decided to recount the events of 3 years prior. Towards the conversation's conclusion, he once again emphasized the necessity of keeping everything secret, reassuring her of an imminent release from jail, a promise he had no intention of fulfilling. When the police officially charged David, his response revealed not a gentleman, but a deeply unscrupulous individual. He shifted blame onto Patty, the mother of his unborn child, attempting to deflect responsibility for his actions. Epilogue. Surprisingly, while in custody, David attempted to bribe a fellow inmate who was on the brink of release to eliminate both Patty and Detective Jay Newell. Little did Brown anticipate that his cellmate was an undercover cop, ultimately becoming a key witness against him in court. Patty, on the other hand, cooperated with the police from the outset, acknowledging her role as an accomplice. Consequently, she served 4 years in a correctional facility. Upon release, she married the warden who had guarded her during her time behind bars. Cinnamont, after a total of 7 years in prison, regained her freedom in 1992. Despite her efforts to forge a normal life, her first arranged marriage in 1993 ended tragically, as her husband perished in a traffic accident. A few years later, she entered into a second marriage with a policeman, and the couple settled in Orange, raising a family together. Reports suggest that Cinnamon is currently leading a stable and content life. In contrast, David received a life sentence without the possibility of parole. He passed away in prison in March 2014. I hope you liked this story. Please don't forget to leave a comment sharing with your thoughts below. Give a thumbs up this video and remember to hit that subscribe button to stay tuned for more captivating stories. Thank you for joining us on this remarkable journey, and we'll see you in the next video.